and another subnet for your management network connection. Now in this case, these network cards are all access layer cards, and so I'm not going to put a VLAN ID in here now, but if you do have one, you'll want to put one in here for the VLAN that's going to be associated with your management network. Our next task that's required is to actually set up the IP address information for this server. I don't want to use dynamic IP address and network configuration in this case. Instead, I'm going to set this to 192.168.0.202, which is the IP address associated with ESX1 in my network. I'm going to choose a subnet mask here, which is in my case a 24-bit subnet mask and my default gateway. If I have IPv6, I can also choose to enable and then configure my IPv6 configuration down here. Do not forget to set up your DNS configuration as well. In my case, my DNS servers are 192.168.0.100, and the most important piece down here is this host name at the bottom, which identifies the host name not of the DNS server, but of the server that you're actually building right now. In my case, that's esx1.company.pri. A lot of people actually forget that host name and need to actually enter it in later. So make sure that you enter in the host name of this server here, or you're going to actually have to come back and make some changes a little later on. I'll choose the enter button here, and I can choose custom DNS suffixes if I want, for example, company.pri, or if there are other entries that are necessary if I have multiple different DNS suffixes for my network. Once I've done that and I hit the escape button, you'll see that I'm alerted that I need to actually restart the management networks to apply those changes. If I hit the yes button, that'll actually apply those changes and make this server ready to go with the IP address and host name that was just set up. I can choose again to restart that management network here, or I can choose to test the management network. Now this test management network link is actually fairly important because you're going to want to actually go through this test to make sure that you have all of your settings set up correctly. It will go through and ping the default gateway and then also the DNS server, and also attempt to resolve the host name for this server, esx1.company.pri, against the DNS server that you've configured. If I hit the enter button here, you'll see that, well, all right, I got an OK for the default gateway, I got an OK for the DNS server, but I've actually got a failed here for esx1.company.pri, which means that my DNS server is unaware of this host name. Now in order to make this test successful, what I need to do is actually go to the DNS tab here. I'll do so here under VC, and bring up that DNS tab so that I can actually enter in the static address for esx1.company.pri into my DNS zone. You'll see here's ESX2 that's associated with 0.203. At this point, what I want to do is actually add in a new host name for ESX1 that's associated with 192.168.0.202 and create an associated pointer record, a reverse record for ESX1. This is important so that I have the correct resolution of the ESX servers into my DNS. Now, I've got to have all of these servers in DNS or I'm going to end up with some problems a little bit down the road. Once I've entered this into DNS, I can go back to ESX1 and then rerun the test until I make sure that I've got all three of these responding with an OK prompt. That alerts me that I'm going to be successful with getting all the necessary functionalities correct with this server. You see here I've got the host name correctly identified here. It shows OK, which means I'm ready to go. A couple other items here in the list that we'll want to pay attention to. We can restore network settings if we want. I can configure a different keyboard layout if I want. There are some troubleshooting options we'll take a look at a little bit later. Also some system logs we'll take a look at a little bit later. What I want to have you pay particular attention to is this view support information here. This dialog box gives me a lot of information about this ESX host. And the most important of which here, at least for this phase of the game, is the SSL thumbprint, the SHA-1 thumbprint that's been associated with this ESX1 host. This is essentially a random generated SHA-1 thumbprint that uniquely identifies this ESX1 host. And you'll want to actually pay attention to this 07DA-AD information, because as we enter this ESX1 host into our vCenter server, we're going to need to make sure that this SSL thumbprint matches the one that the server we're attempting to connect to from vCenter actually is the same. It's the same string of characters. So be aware of this. We'll come back to this here in just a second. Now at this point, we've completed all the things that we need to here on the console of our ESX server. Then